question that comes up for me all the time is, can you manifest without visualization, without visualizing? And this one really bugged me for a long time, because I believed that you had to visualize in order to manifest. And so when things didn't manifest, I assumed it was because I wasn't visualizing properly, or I hadn't visualized it clearly enough, or it wasn't vivid enough, or I didn't hold on to the images in my mind for long enough. Until eventually, it takes me a while, until eventually I sat down to think about it. And what I came up with is going to blow your mind. Hi, I'm Trevor Emdon. I'm manifesting coach these days, as well as a lot of other hats that I wear. And here is the gorgeous truth. So here's what I thought, okay? So we're assuming that visualization, creative visualization, if you like, causes manifestation. Now, even a moment's reflection will tell you that's not the case. That can't possibly be the case. I mean, we're imagining stuff all the time. One of the things that we're able to do is to imagine impossible things. We can imagine, oh, I don't know, giraffes in space. But I don't think that's going to make that happen. We can imagine all kinds of stuff. We can imagine breathing underwater. But more to the point, we are wired to imagine worst case scenarios. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's just a fact. It's a survival instinct. If we're, I don't know, planning a journey or some big change or anything big, we've done it, you've done it, then what happens is we kind of say to ourselves, well, what could go wrong? Oh, I better make sure I take the umbrella in case it rains, even though the forecast is for sunshine. But if it does rain, or I better make sure that, the kids are coming, so I better make sure they've got something to do, so that in case they feel sleepy or sick in the car, or we automatically go there. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about, but that's negative thinking, and it's actually natural thinking. I'm not saying we should dwell on it, but I'm also not saying that we should ignore it either. But also what we will sometimes do is, in our minds, or our minds will take things to an extreme, and we get this kind of disaster movie going on in our heads. And the truth is, statistically, most things are all right most of the time. Mostly those disasters don't ever happen. Now, I know that as I record this, there are places in the world where there are terrible things going on. Wars, there have been floods in parts of the world, and so on. And the reality, and I'm sorry for anyone who's caught up in any of those things, it sounds horrendous. I'm not making light of it. But the reality still is, statistically, most places are fine. Most people will never be mugged. Most houses will never burn down, and so on. Do you see what I mean? Most things are all right most of the time. So it doesn't matter that we imagine worst case scenarios. We can mitigate for problems, but we're not going to create the disaster because we visualized it. Now, if that's true of when we visualize something negative, it's also going to be true when we visualize something that we want. That's not what you have to do. The way it works, and I hesitate to say it that way because it sounds like I'm going to give you another technique. And really, it's the antithesis, it's the opposite of a technique. It works, look at nature. There's no effort. How do you grow a daisy? Yeah, sure, if you're a botanist or a gardener, you get some daisy seeds. But how do the daisy seeds get created in the first place? That's what I'm talking about. How do you create a daisy from nothing? You and I can't do that. And that's something as I want to say simple, but it's an immensely complex organism, but something as familiar, let's say that, as a daisy. We don't know how it happens. It's not our job to create stuff that way. What we can do is point our intention in the direction we want to go. Now, the best analogy I can come up with for that is GPS, sat-nav. When you want to go somewhere in your car, you set the GPS system to the coordinates, in the UK it's the postcode, whatever you want to go to. You tell it the address, the street, and then you just drive the car, which means take action, and follow the directions, even if you've never been there before and you don't know the way. It will get you there. Even if there's a roadblock, even if there's a detour, it will still get you there. We have our own internal system. Now, then what you do is you trust that system. Now that's where people trip up. So what I've done is, rather than try and explain it all in a video, which would get rather long, I've created a book called How to Make the Law of Attraction Work Every Time, even if you can't visualize and you get the technique completely wrong. Right? It's a long title. But that book is yours. It's free. So all you have to do is click the link. There'll be one in the description if you're watching this on YouTube below. And again, if you're on YouTube, there should be something popping up on the screen. I'm never sure which side it comes up on the screen. But either way, there'll be a link where you can go and download that book. It's free. No charge at all. Right? And it's not very long either, but it will explain to you how you do this. You set your intention, you just point your intention, and then you let go and you trust. And with a GPS system, if you're a driver and you have a car that's got one of those in it, you'll know what I'm talking about. We have no problem trusting a GPS system. When it comes to our own internal guidance, oh boy, do we get in a mess. So yes, you definitely can manifest without visualization. In fact, I'm going to go one step further and say visualization, trying to manifest in that conscious way, actually slows the process down. The reason that visualization has got into the recipe for manifesting at all is because once you can see where you're going, pictures start forming in your mind automatically. But it doesn't work in reverse. The law of attraction teachers seem to have assumed that if we make pictures in our mind, that will pull the things towards us. But it doesn't work like that. Check out the book. It's free, as I say. It's called, I can't remember now, How to Make the Law of Attraction Work Every Time, even if you can't visualize and you get the technique completely wrong. So I hope that's helpful. Click the link in the description, or the one that should be on the screen, or maybe a little card on the screen or something, to get the book. And I hope that's helpful. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.